governance frameworks. Nobody wants to know about governance frameworks. But this is where you start. If you get the governance right, then you get the rest of the process right. So we'll talk about that a little bit. We'll talk about real-time feedback, using real-time customer feedback to drive service recovery. There's some really good stuff in service recovery you can do. If you do it right, you can make a lot of friends with your customer base and really drive up value in the business. Some simple analysis considerations to think about when you're talking about customer feedback. And the last one is around triggered marketing. One of the things that we see is that customers grab this information. It's great information, but then what do you do with it? How do you use that to go back and market back to your customers? We think this is a really lost opportunity for most organisations, so I'll talk a bit about that as well. So governance frameworks. Governance is the place that we find most organisations that fail in their customer feedback process and in making change. Governance is the place that they fail. They fail at step one because they spend the first part of the conversation going out and collecting information. That's kind of easy. That's the easy part of your process. And if you don't have a governance framework in place, then you'll never be able to use that information effectively long-term in your organisation. So, just want to go through and just look at the closed-loop customer feedback cycles, so we've all got that in our head. First step, listen. Measure how well you're delivering. And pretty much everybody here is doing that, I'm assuming. You're all collecting information at some point and understanding. What might surprise you is we think the second most important part of that is the react process, the service recovery process. Who's doing service recovery based on customer survey feedback? Okay, so we've got a couple. This is really valuable stuff, and I'll talk about it later. This stuff changes businesses, and it becomes the organisational change, the culture change part of the process that you really need to implement. Understand, this is where people get going, but they kind of don't get all the way. Marina talked about root cause analysis a few minutes ago. This is a big part of the process. When you get 6 months down the track, it's you kind of lose that excitement about the feedback, and then it becomes, okay, what do we do next? How do we make a big change? And big changes are the next part. Designing where to make a change in your business is the next part, and of course acting, that's the last part. We won't spend so much time on the last two because it's the first three that are really the big parts of what people miss out. And of course, do it again. So how do you do it? Now, this might look like a strange slide, but when we talk to people on the best practice process for implementing customer feedback, and especially transaction customer feedback, is actually to start with the initial program governance structures to get the governance set up. And I'll talk about a best practice model that we've used in lots of organisations and why it works. I'll talk about that in a few minutes. But stop. Don't spend time doing the collection. Spend time working out how you're going to use that information. Use that first part to get everybody engaged in the process. Then, okay, work out which customers, which touch points, which key opportunities, who needs to be involved. This is touch point mapping, and we've seen a little bit of touch point mapping and customer experience stuff over the last couple of days. But this is when you do this stuff. Okay, so we look like we're halfway through the process. We are. Now's the time to start listening. And now's the time to start grabbing that information. Building your software, building your data import systems, putting all that stuff together. As you see, it's very much like that. Most people start with this listen and react phase. The react process is the other process. Quick wins. So then you've got to get on and do some stuff. Okay, you've got to turn some of the initial information to root causes and make change in your business. And then on to big bets. So do a couple of little ones, and then use that information and show the rest of the organisation what you can do and make some really big changes once you're confident. So this is a best practice governance process, a best practice implementation process. What I see most of these customers want to start with listen and react phase. And so when we talk to them, we kind of move them back and say, right, let's hold off on that and let's start working out how you're going to use the information. Does that all make sense? Okay, so here's the governance model that we use with organisations. It starts with the steering committee. It starts as senior as possible in the organisation. It starts with CEO, COO,